All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I've been going over the Murox PowerPoints for Murox ASP.NET 4.6 with C# 2015 6th edition textbook. And I'm in the middle of Chapter 20 on how to authenticate and authorize users. All right, so previously we talked about authentication, and now it's time to talk about authorization. So by default, all of the pages of a web application can be accessed by all users, whether they've been authenticated or not. So as a result, if you want to restrict access, you need to set up access rules for those parts of the application that people should not be allowed to access. For instance, if I can go out to Rankin's website and I can go out to the intranet site and I can see different things, like meeting minutes from different committees, etc. But I can't go out to their payroll system and find out what other people are making, for example. I can't do that. I'm not authorized to do that. So you can also have roles, and roles let you apply access rules to a group of users. So it's much easier to create some kind of a generic role and then assign people, a bunch of employees to a role. So, for example, if you'd created a role named admin for all employees, it will be administrators. All right, then you could associate that role with multiple users. If later you want to go back in and update by either adding or removing some of those permissions, you don't have to do that to each user individually. Rather, you could just do it to the role. Now, when you define access rules for users and roles, you decide, basically what they're able to do and not do. You end up adding code basically to one or more web config files. And this is important because previously when we've talked about anything in here, so for instance, this is the example for Chapter 19, which I guess is still running. But for instance, what we've always had is just a single web.config file. And to be honest with you, it hasn't really had a whole lot in it. But you can have multiple web config files if you want to or need to. Quite often when you start doing this and you start working with these multiple web config files, as mentioned on the slide right here, you may end up using wildcard characters. The asterisk means all users. That's everybody. It's a wildcard. It's like the asterisk that you use in other packages. The question mark means all users, but they must be unauthenticated. So all unauthenticated users. So there's some examples here. And if I said allow users equals star, that would mean everybody. Here, what I could do is say allow roles equals employee, then deny it for everybody. But that deny will be overridden by the allow. So only employees will be able in this case. All right. So that we're the first example, let all users access file. The second, lets only users in the employee role access the file. Another couple of examples here. The code access rules within an authorization element. You code these access rules within an authorization element. So within configuration, etc. All right, so here, notice as an example. So again, the authorization element in a web.config file lets you code, allow, and deny elements that control which users and or which roles can access the application. You can let users access the entire application, only specific files, or only an individual file. If you want to add a new web.config, you display the Add New Item dialog box. You select the web configuration file template, and typically you'll just accept the default name. You'll want to call it web config. But the point is you can have multiple web config files. All right. Now the startup.auth.cs file in the app start folder includes a class named startup, and that startup has a configure auth method in it. You can see that here. This method is called by the startup.cs file in the root directory at startup, and it makes sure that there's only a single instance of certain objects per request. You can add code here to create an object for working with different roles if you want to or need to do so. To use roles within a web form template, you create a new application role manager. This is getting really heavy. This is stuff I have never done or never have attempted to do. As far as working with users and working with roles, it says here the application user manager class that's generated by the web forms template extends the user manager class. Similarly, the application role manager class extends the role manager class. In the figure here, what you're starting to see are some of the properties and methods provided by the role manager and later the user manager class. Okay? The role manager class includes methods that let you create, update, and delete roles. Kind of what you'd think. Similarly, the user manager class includes methods that let you create, update, and delete users. So they've got some couple properties in here. Succeeded, which is a Boolean value that indicates whether the operation was successful or unsuccessful. And errors, which is one of the enumerable collections. It's a collection of strings that contain error messages. So there's a couple code examples in here. And this example shows how you can create a new role. What it does is it starts by getting the application role manager object from the O in context. Then it creates a new identity role. It assigns a value to the name property, and it passes that role to the create method of the role manager. After it gets done, as they start to show in there, it checks to see whether or not this succeeded. Now, if it didn't, again, they're not putting a lot of code in here, but you've got if result.succeeded, you want to do something. You could put an else in there to make something happen if it didn't succeed. Ideally, what they mention on the bottom of page 636 is this helps you realize that adding code for using an application role manager object makes it fairly intuitive to retrieve and work with that kind of an object. All right. The next thing that's discussed in here is they have this home page of the user maintenance application. Now think about this before we go through it, okay? I don't care about HTTP and all that other stuff, but if this is a user maintenance application and you want to be able to edit an account, or you want to be able to maintain users and roles or order a product, well, who can order a product? Ideally, anyone, I would think. I should be able to edit my own account, so that should be everyone. But maintain roles and users, those should just be certain people. So this user maintenance application is going to use different web.config files to restrict some portions of the site to authenticated users or to users associated with an admin role. Okay? This, the home page is going to have 3 links. These are the ones that are shown here. The first link lets all users access the order page. The second link lets any authenticated user manage their account page. And the third lets authenticated users with an admin role permission access the maintenance page. The login page is displayed if the user clicks on the second or third link and the browser doesn't contain a cookie, one of these, that authenticates the user. The maintenance page lets a user in the admin role insert, edit, and delete users and roles. It also lets the admin user select a user and associate them with one or more roles. Let's see what we have here. And I have not tried to bring this up So what can I do with this? I don't have a clue. So this is Chapter 20, User Maintenance. All right, so as we start to look through this, okay, you'll notice we've got a web config file here. We've got another web config file here under maintenance. So if we look at that, okay, we want to deny everybody except for admin permission for this. So as we come in here, and I think we can run the default, well, let's try to run the default page and see what happens. Well, that didn't work. There we go. Well, as always, this is taking a little time, which I don't like, because it's just dead air time. I give you enough of that anyway, I guess. But I will go back. And show you that, as they show here, this is the maintenance page. So you can come through there and grab any user, give them a role, all right, delete them from a role, etc. So here's the web configuration file. So this is the one in the root directory. This is the one in the account directory. This is the one in the maintenance directory. So if you look through there, you will see these three files. I didn't show you the account one, but I showed you the other ones. So if we look in here, and there are no external authenticate, yeah, okay. Let's see. So if we log in, let's try doing that. Passwords must be at least 6 characters. must have at least one non-letter or non-digit. Okay, I guess I should read the instructions. Hello, 1, 2, 3, comma. Hello, 1, 2, 3, comma. Must have at least one. Capital H, E-L-L-O, 1, 2, 3, comma. Capital H, E-L-L-O, 1, 2, 3, comma. All right. Log in. Notice that it says that I am logged in. All right. And I'm not sure, this does not look like it's giving me the same there it is, there's home. So I should be able to come in here and there's an order page, good. I should be able to come in and edit my own account. Makes sense. Maintain users and roles. Now it's asking me to log in. So this would have to be something where I would have to have some kind of an admin account. Now, my guess is if I just try admin and admin, it won't take it because it's violating the password. Yeah. Okay. All right, so let's talk a little bit about these web.config files. The web.config file in the root directory, in fact, we can bring all three of them up. So we've got the maintenance web.config, which we've already seen, but we'll bring it up again anyway. So there that is. We've got an account web.config, and we have our main web.config. Now that main one, this does not have any roles in it. So there are no roles set up, and you notice it's a lot bigger than the ones we've been looking at. All right. So here is the one. This is the admin one, so this is, I believe, under maintenance, and this is the web one. This is under accounts, I believe. So the web.config file in the root directory does not apply any authorization, but it does include an authentication element with a mode attribute that's been set to none by default. The web.config file in the account directory is also added by the web forms template. By default, it allows only authenticated users. So deny users equal question mark means to deny to unauthenticated users. The web.config, the other one that's over here in the maintenance directory, applies to all files. It allows only authenticated users that have been associated with the admin role to be able to access those particular files. All right. Most of the ASPX code in this app is similar to stuff that we've looked at before, but just a couple things. If you run the code using the authentication system and the connection string that are generated by the web forms template by default, you'd get an error message indicating that there's already an open data reader associated with a command. So to provide for that, you can enable multiple MARs, the multiple active result sets, by setting the MARS value in the connection string to true, as they do here. All right, and that's right there. There's other ways to fix the problem as well. So the grid view control that displays the list of users calls a method named list roles in the code behind file that returns a comma-separated list of roles. To get the list of roles for each user, you add a property to the connection string so the database allows for multiple active result sets. Okay? All right. The code for this, the C# code for the maintenance page. The author says on the top of page 744, for simplicity reasons, they decided not to do any validation or concurrency checking. Of course, you would want to. All right. The first two methods that are after the load event, and that's page load, so these next two methods are the select methods that are used to select different users, here and here. The next three methods, which are shown in the next two slides, are used by the details view, details control for a user. Then we've got a method to insert a user. We've got a method to delete a user. After these methods are additional methods that allow a user to select, update, insert, and delete associated roles. All right, let's just stop it right there. We're again at around, we're up to 20 minutes. So I'm going to stop and then come back and handle the last 2, 4, 6 pages which are on how to do customization for users. So I'll be back with that shortly.